Hello. So I woke up this morning and discovered there's a new UFO investigation documentary coming on Netflix, and it's starring George Knapp. So what I thought I'd do is have a quick look at this this trailer for this documentary and see how much of the videos in it I recognize. I had a quick look through. I recognize some of them, and I'm going to try to look up some of the others in real time. So let's get started. See what George has to say about investigating UFOs.
You are what we would classify as a whistleblower.
Yes, that would be exactly what I am.
I want to be able to share this with the world. How can we help you break this story? There is enormous amount of evidence to suggest...
All right, let's stop right there. George says there's an enormous amount of evidence after talking to a whistleblower. You think we wouldn't need all this evidence if we have a whistleblower, but these whistleblowers, unfortunately, have not been blowing very many whistles. So let's see, let's go back up a little bit. There was a little video here I don't recognize. It looks like a recreation, though. This doesn't look like a real video. There's like bits of chromatic aberration on these lights, and then a kind of a rather blurry background. It looks like a composite of two different things. I don't know what it is. Probably a recreation of something like the UFO swarm over Washington, combined with typical footage out to sea where you often see flares. But I don't know what this one actually is. Then next we have this one. This is a K-10 Warthog plane. It's being viewed from a static location. This was a leaked DHS video. We actually have the video with these retractions removed, so I don't know where they're using this version. This little object here is a bird. It looks like a UFO because it appears to be following the plane, but it's actually not following it at all. We did some analysis on that. You can look at the flight path. It looks like a kind of a wobbly flight path. You zoom in on the object itself, and you can see the wings flapping. And if you do the math as to how far away it is and how big it is, it's actually just a bird flying at regular bird speed. And it looks like it catches up with the A-10 at some point because the A-10 turns towards the camera, and so its angular velocity is less. So that one, almost certainly a bird. It looks exactly like a bird, moves like a bird. It'll be interesting to see what George's analysis of this bird actually is. Next one, of course, is the famous FLIR 1 video, which we're coming to here. This is the Nimitz video. We don't know what it is. It doesn't do anything amazing. It looks like on screen it's doing some amazing zipping off, but this is just the camera moving. It's not actually doing anything amazing. It's moving at a fairly slow rate of speed. It's probably something like a distant plane or something like that. Could be a UFO, you can't tell, but it's not inconsistent with it being a plane. Let's see what's
non-human intelligence.
This one here is, I think, referred to as the Middle East Sphere, or the Middle East Object. This is an actual one that was released by Arrow. Again, the location has been redacted, but we do actually know where this is. It was tracked down by the folks at Bellingcat, who do this type of investigation, try to figure out where things are, especially in the Middle East. I think it turned out it was in Syria, or perhaps Iraq, but one of those. It shows what, again, I think is a balloon. It's an illusion. It looks like it's moving very fast because this is being viewed from a fixed-wing drone, an MQ-9 Reaper probably. And the drone itself is moving at over 100 miles per hour, yet it looks like it's not. So anything that's just floating in the air in between the drone and the target will appear to move very fast. And Arrows, in their own investigation, they basically said the same thing. It doesn't show any characteristics of anything amazing, and it doesn't seem to be a threat, and it's not really moving very fast. So probably just a balloon. It's moving basically with the wind, and the motion is mostly illusory. There you go. It's pretty compelling because it looks like the plane isn't moving. It looks like it's being filmed from a helicopter, but it's not. It's being filmed from a drone moving at 100 miles per hour, plus maybe more. So it gives parallax. It's parallax.
We need to get...
Okay, this is going back to Roswell. Old story. You can look that up. It's probably just not a UFO, but this is the legend lives on.
Beyond that obvious question, are UFOs real, to what really matters?
So before we get into this one here, let me just back up real quick. He's asking we need to get beyond the obvious question of are UFOs real and figure out what they are. Yeah, UFOs are real. I mean, these are videos of UFOs. Some of these things on this documentary will be things that have not been unidentified, and they appear to be flying, or they appear to be anomalous. So they are, in fact, UFOs. Are they advanced technology? Are they aliens? That's the thing where the evidence is lacking. We have evidence that things exist, things flying around in the sky, but we're really, really lacking the evidence that they're actually anomalous. Things looking anomalous doesn't mean they are anomalous, especially if it's just, that one video or if it's some kind of eyewitness recollection. You need multiple sensor data, and you need that available to us. We can't just have people saying, oh, we have multiple sensor data, and vaguely characterizing what that sensor data is. Unless we actually come out with that data, showing these things, doing amazing things, we don't really have the evidence. But anyway, let's move on.
We need to get beyond that obvious question, are UFOs real, to what really matters.
Now, this one here looks amazing, and I imagine they're going to debunk it on the show, but let's try to debunk it in real time. I'm just going to do a quick capture of this, screen capture, and then I'm going to go to Google Lens, and I'm just going to drag in that screen capture that I made, see if it finds out what it is, and doesn't get it from that. Let's widen the search a little bit. There you go. NASA lights up the sky with artificial clouds. And these are just barium and other chemicals. They launch them into space, into the ionosphere, so you can see what the upper levels of the atmosphere are doing in terms of how things move around and how things spread, and space weather and stuff like that. It's just, we know what it is. It's not a UFO. What's next?
Why are they here?
This one here, this was like something that was on YouTube. It was reported to be 3 UFOs filmed from a charter jet. It looks like it's a fake. It's from an anonymous account. The motion isn't very good. It's very looks like it's keyframed, and these types of things are the easiest things to keyframe, to actually add to video, because you don't really require any magic to make them fit in. They're just bright lights. And then there was this nonsense thing with the MH370 being kind of teleported away by 3 orbs outside the plane like this. So I think it's just kind of riffing on that, and it's just a very, very cheap and easy fake. Probably could be aliens, but looks like a fake, and there's no evidence that it isn't a fake. And since it's anonymous, that's what I'm going to go with.
What do they want from us?
This is a photo. I don't know what it is. I looked it up, couldn't find out what it was. Looks possibly AI generated. There's no real distinguishing features in it. A black shape above some trees. I'm going to guess it's either just something AI or it's a recreation of something.
Us. We can handle it, can't we?
We can handle it.
My name is George Knapp. People know me as the UFO reporter. Last year, the Pentagon debuted Arrow.
This looks like it's a photocopy of something. I think it's from a kind of a military report of something, and it's just an amorphous blob of light. So this image itself doesn't really tell us anything. Perhaps it's accompanied by some eyewitness accounts or something, but looks like just some old thing. Moving on.
Investigating UFOs.
Okay, this one here is looks like the Chilean Navy case, and this actually they show it a few other times. Looks like they've zoomed in on it, like removed all the data around the outside of the screen, because it does actually come with a lot of data. So this is the Chilean Navy video, and I think we're kind of somewhere around here. You can see it's the same type of thing as we have over here. There we go. They just zoomed in for some reason to make it look more dramatic. Could have used a better frame than that, but they actually do later in this video, as I recall. Let's carry on.
UFOs.
Arrow has found no evidence.
If they would go to such length.
Yeah, and this is interesting. They say Arrow's found no evidence, which I think is probably accurate, but they say they found no evidence of extraterrestrials. George kind of chops that off. There's loads of evidence of UFOs. There's loads of evidence of objects in the sky that we haven't identified. And Arrow is trying to identify a whole bunch of them, but none of the evidence actually raises to the level of them being extraterrestrials or some kind of advanced technology or ultra dimensionals or whatever it is nowadays. So they kind of missed out some important words there.
To discredit this topic, it tells us we're going to have to do it ourselves. We need solid evidence, and we need it now.
That would be great. We do need solid evidence if we're going to be making all kinds of claims about them. We don't need solid evidence that UFOs exist again. You know, we have pictures of UFOs. I'm not sure why there is a picture of a stag here. It doesn't really seem like part of a UFO thing, but maybe that will be explained.
We've had some pretty dramatic.
Here's a woman with a burn on her, and I think this is part of, you know, essentially eyewitness accounts type situations where people say that they were attacked by aliens.
Dramatic UFO encounters all over the world.
I'm not sure where those 3 particular locations were. Another person here is being burned.
Wow. Something.
Not a lot you can do with cases like that unless there's some evidence of that burn coming from some kind of flying saucer or something. Then, you know, it's just unfortunately just a story that they're telling. Yeah, if they're coming out with aliens as the most likely explanation, you really need some additional evidence along with that. Okay, this looks just like a bit of stock footage of the sun. Very pretty.
Weird happened to those bulls.
This, it's a guy with a dead cow, and it looks like the cow's bones are scattered around. They've been there for a very long time. There's this weird thing in the UFO culture where they think that cows have been killed by aliens. Doesn't really make sense. Travis Taylor recently suggested that the cow's blood contains something that can be used to make flying saucers go faster than light.
That we can build a special material that would allow us to go faster than the speed of light. Bovine serum albumin. What if these aliens are using somehow the cow blood to make their engines go work right?
Which is really weird. Really weird theory. And Travis Taylor was actually a chief scientist on the UAP task force headed by Jay Stratton. So it's kind of weird that people come up with these weird theories and are also in positions of authority to be saying things about these things. Anyway, so dead cow, cows die. Can't really tell much from these bones. Other ones look more suspicious. They have like, you know, kind of the soft tissue removed or what look like cuts, but they've all been investigated. And when they're investigated by proper, like, you know, forensic pathologists who specialize in animals, they can tell what's actually happened. It's, you know, predators basically, canines with sharp teeth, wolves, things like that, maggots eating away certain types of flesh, the soft organs underneath, other things that are attached first. So anyway, it's you know, not something I really spend much time on because it seems like obvious nonsense, but it is something that the UFO community actually has kind of, you know, bought into. So here's a bunch of bones. You know, these have been dead and picked over for several months by the looks of it, and you know, cows die, and sometimes they don't find the body for a while.
What happened in Phoenix was seen by thousands of people. Federal
Phoenix
agents.
Lights. The Phoenix Lights is a very well-known case, and coincidentally, at the same time as the Phoenix Lights occurring, there were these military exercises with flares and then planes flying over, which is what people saw. It's almost certainly what people saw. But of course, you know, people's timelines get confused, their memories get confused. They don't know exactly when they saw things, and then they do the "I know what I saw" thing, and they think they saw a giant flying triangle. But the actual evidence that we have, the video evidence, the photographic evidence, and most of the eyewitness evidence just points towards them being flares.
We're confiscating videos afterwards.
He said, as far as you're concerned, Lieutenant, it never happened.
Not sure what that is. Just like some kind of test. Oh, I think that was a test. This is a test of a missile, and supposedly there was a UFO spotted or near it. This actually looks like a plane contrail to me. I'm not sure what this is.
We are not.
This guy, I think, claims to have witnessed a UFO knock out a missile, as I recall. Sorry, I'm just kind of doing this on the fly.
Well, the technology.
These were the hearings before Congress. Mr. Graves, Mr. Grush, and Commander David Fravor. Graves he hasn't actually seen UFOs himself, but he's seen them on his radar and things like that. And he knows people who have seen them, and he was kind of in when the famous gimbal video incident and the go fast video incidents happened, he was there and saw it on video later and said he saw the longer version of the video. He now runs an organization called Americans for Safe Aerospace, and he has a Substack, which I subscribe to, but he hasn't updated it recently. So Ryan, get back to updating your Substack. It was actually quite interesting. David Fravor, he saw the Tic Tac. He thought he saw something. Well, he did see something, and from his perspective, it appeared to be something that was a craft that was intelligently controled and did some amazing maneuvers. I don't know what that is. I have a few theories about what it might be, like some kind of misperception with parallax and a drone or a balloon or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know what that is. But we don't really have any good video evidence or other evidence like radar evidence available to verify his claims. And there's some differences between his account and another pilot who was there, Alex Dietrich. He says he saw it for 5 minutes. She said it was 10 seconds. Difficult to reconcile those two accounts. So that's certainly one of the more interesting cases. Hasn't been solved. It is a UFO. Don't know what it is, but there isn't very strong evidence that it is definitely something anomalous. And David Grush in the middle, of course, is a famous whistleblower who hasn't publicly blown any real whistles. He's made some claims which really just sound like typical UFO mythology and things that have been repeated by other people. But it appears to be people telling each other stories. It'd be great if there was actually something interesting there that he could reveal, but it hasn't happened yet. And I don't really anticipate it happening either, because they always have this excuse of it's top secret, I can't reveal it, so we've just got to keep pushing it. So they keep doing things like this, and they keep pushing, and nothing ever happens. But this isn't video.
The technology that we faced was far superior than
this. Why are they showing this? This was from the Arrow website. It looks like a cool video. It's military. This is a MQ-9 Reaper drone, I believe, and it was filmed from an MQ-9 Reaper drone. This object zips across the screen, leaving a trail.
anything that we had.
This one was investigated by Arrow, and they found that it was actually just a commercial plane, some way off in the distance. And this trail is just, sensor artifacts. You see it on your doorbell cameras. I see it all the time on my camera. I've got I've got a camera pointing at the sky, and when you put it in night mode, you get these exact same trails. So this is just a plane, and it looks like it's moving fast because the drone that it's being filmed from is moving in the opposite direction. Arrow investigated that. They figured out what it was. So what are you going to do? Say Arrow is lying about this thing which doesn't look like anything particularly interesting. It just looks like a regular plane. All right, underwater stuff. Now, underwater stuff is a new big thing in ufology. The problem with underwater stuff is really hard to take photos underwater of anything that's not just right there next to you. So we tend to get these interesting stories, like this big thing came up from under the water and it did something and then it went away. But we don't really know because no one ever captures it on video. This is either a recreation or it's a boat hovering over a big hole in the seabed or something like that. But this would be great if we had stuff like this. Lou Elizondo claims that there is a football field-sized craft moving at 600 knots underwater, and they have like 4K video of it. Cool story, but we haven't seen that.
There will be some information that's going to be put out.
Now, this one here, I was momentarily excited about this one. I thought this one was actually a new video because it's this thing moving from left to right, and I didn't recognize it. I thought it looked a bit like the Aguadilla video, but that moves from right to left, so I thought it can't be that. And then I realized it is actually the Aguadilla video. They just flipped the video. Let's see, I got it on Photoshop, and I had a quick look at it. So here's the actual Aguadilla video, and here's the YouTube frame that I just showed. And if you flip it, see I flipped it here, then it's part of this video. This is kind of cool frame actually. If you zoom in, you can see this is the original one. This is theirs. It's kind of blurry, but this is the original. This dark area here is a heat source. This gray area here is not a heat source. So, this actually is one of the bits of the video that really kind of demonstrates the leading hypothesis for what this is, which is a pair of wedding lanterns, Chinese lanterns, these paper lanterns with a bit of fire at the bottom. So this is the actual kind of canopy of the lantern. Here, the paper, which is just obscuring the background, and then this is the heat source in the middle. And you see, it's probably actually two of them, because later you see it split into two. And earlier in this video, you can actually see what looks like two things kind of rotating around each other. Sometimes you see two, sometimes just one, sometimes you see none because the paper is covering the whole thing, and that later makes it look like it disappears underwater. They try to explain that as being gravity warping light, which is just kind of rather a stretch when paper obscuring light or gravity warping light, which is more likely. You do the math. Okay, well, back to this. That was exciting, but sad that we don't actually have any new exciting videos. This is the Go Fast video. Looks like it's going very fast, but you do the math on the numbers on screen, which they've conveniently removed in this example. You can tell that it's, which I have my diagram here. I was just showing it to somebody. You can do the math on that, and it turns out to be not actually that fast, and not very close to the water. It's probably something moving fairly slow. It's probably something like a balloon moving wind speed 50-60 knots, something like that. What else we got? A bit obscure. Is this Stonehenge? I think this actually is Stonehenge here. I've been there. It's a cool place, but it's just basically a bunch of rocks, one upon the other.
We can bring out of the
crop circles. That's man-made. Human-made. They're made by people. People go out and they're very creative, and they do all kinds of different ways of doing it. And you plan it well in advance, and you can do amazing things in a few hours with some boards and some string and some a good plan. People will tell you otherwise, but people making crop circles is by far the simplest explanation. George will probably tell you otherwise.
the shadows, the closer we...
No, this was like an interesting little thing. This was stars that just disappeared, which, if true, is pretty interesting. Have stars been disappearing? Would kind of suggest, wouldn't suggest like UFOs, I don't think, unless these are supposed to be spaceships that are pretending to be stars. So, this is actual kind of an interesting thing. I'm not sure if this has been resolved or any of these particular things have been resolved, but it's one of the more interesting scientific things. If it actually pans out to be a real thing and these aren't just like photo artifacts or something like that.
We get to answer.
Paintings on a wall. Looks like ancient Native American paintings probably in New Mexico or somewhere like that. Look a bit alien-like, but old images are very stylized often. Doesn't mean that they're actually aliens. Oh, that's very quick. Bam, bam, bam there. This is the gimbal video. The rotation, from my analysis, people disagree, seems to be just the glare rotating. So we're seeing infrared camera. The black is hot, and so I think it's just the glare of something hot, like possibly a jet engine, possibly a hot UFO. It's unresolved as to exactly what it is, but the rotation, I think, doesn't appear to be actually real rotation. You can see things like these little spikes here. These are refraction spikes, and they rotate with the object, and then you see patterns in the background. It also rotates with the object, which indicates it's just the camera itself is rotating the internals of the camera, so the horizon stays level, but the internal reflections and lens flare and glare will rotate because they're camera relative. That was the bird again. It's A10 Warthog with the bird. And then this one here is a very short clip of, looked like a orb of some sort, probably filmed from a drone. Probably just another balloon, something lighter than aircraft, like a round thing. And again, just parallax illusions, making it look like it's moving fast. Then we come back to Aguadilla. This is Chile. This is the Chilean Navy UFO, and it's amazing that they are using this one, because this one has been solved. It's a favorite of TV shows though, because it's very compelling. They showed a little bit more later. I can talk about that, but it's definitely been solved. Bet your life on it being solved. We know which plane it is. It's Iberian IB 6830. We've proved exactly where it was at that time. We have the radar data, we have the ADS-B data, and we have this video, which also has all the numbers on it, which again they've removed here. So we know 100% that it's this plane. There's even another plane that comes into shot at one point, and we have the ADS-B data and the radar data for that plane as well. And both planes match up exactly, which means that we know exactly what we're looking at. We know the field of view, we know the position of the helicopter, we know the direction the camera is pointing in. It all matches 100%. This is definitely IB6830, and anybody who wants to fight me on that, go for it, but it's 100%. This is as close to having it there in front of you, knowledge of something being real as you can actually get. This actually is just a plane, and the things that you see leaving behind it are just contrails, and the large shape is just the glare from the engines. That next thing looks like something from looks like a recreation, I think, of some sort. Then let's see, this is the FLIR 1 video. This is from the Nimitz encounter. Again, does nothing amazing, probably does some plane. Here's the Chilean Navy case. They actually put all the numbers up. Since we have all these numbers, we figure out exactly what it was. These two blobs here are for infrared kind of glare around the two pairs of engines of this A340 plane. And these are contrails. These are aerodynamic contrails that it leaves briefly as it goes through an area of a volume of the atmosphere which is a bit more humid than the others. We can see it's not particularly unhumid. We can see clouds, and these clouds, some of these are the same color as this. They're not hot. Anyway, solved. That one's solved. What else we got? That's it. Or is it? There's a little bit more at the end, but nope, that's it. Okay, so conclusions. I'm disappointed that there isn't more new stuff. This appears to be either like 90% stuff that we know about and has been either analyzed for years or has been solved. I think at least half of these have been solved, and why they're coming up again, you have no idea. And the new stuff doesn't seem particularly interesting. There's stuff that looks like fake stuff. There's 3 lights. It looks like a fake video. This is, unfortunately, unimpressive, George. I'm sorry. It's not very good. I know, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel here because we don't really have very many good UFO videos. And most of the UFO videos that come out do actually get solved. And most of these have been solved, and you're recycling them. But it's a shame. Hopefully we'll get some new UFO videos in the next year, and hopefully these whistleblowers will actually blow some whistles. But I'm not holding my breath.